A woman blooms in her own secret garden. Her dreams whisper to the stars, not to the world. Her tears cleanse unseen. Her spirit, rich with knowing, dances behind still eyes. Her coin is quiet, her strength sacred. She needn't reveal all, only what she chooses. That, child, is grace. There are dreams that come in the quiet hours, when the moon hangs low and the heart beats like a soft drum calling you home. These dreams do not knock loudly. They do not demand to be seen. They are gentle, private things, tender as new roots pressing into the earth, fragile as a child's first breath of morning. A woman must guard those dreams like a flame against the wind, for not every ear can hear their music, and not every eye deserves their vision. It is a dangerous thing to expose a sacred dream too early. Like a rosebud forced open before its time, it will wither in the harshness of breath too quick to judge, hands too eager to mold. A sacred dream is born in the soul, not the world. And the soul is a quiet place. It speaks in whispers, in sighs, in the hush between thoughts. When a woman listens to that silence, she is not being secretive, she is being wise. Not every path needs to be explained. Not every desire needs to be shared. There is divinity in what remains unspoken, in what grows in the dark. A woman's dreams are not meant to be debated at tables where her worth is weighed by someone else's comfort. Too often, the world wants her to reveal, to unravel, to lay it all bare. But let me tell you something, baby. Everything precious does not belong to everyone. The pearl rests in the shell. The diamond sleeps in rock. So too must a woman's dream remain sheltered until it is strong enough to shine on its own. Let them wonder, let them speculate. That is not your burden. Your responsibility is only to the dream itself, to feed it with belief, to water it with silence, to shield it from those who do not understand. Because people will try to talk you out of your calling. They will see your vision through the dirty lens of their own doubt. They will clip your wings not out of malice, but out of fear. And fear is a slow killer of brilliance. You see, there is a sacredness in silence, in choosing not to explain yourself, in rising without announcing your climb. The tree does not shout that it grows, it simply reaches, and so should you. You don't have to turn your dream into a lesson for others. You don't need permission to dream, nor validation to keep dreaming. Your sacred calling, whatever it may be, is yours alone. It was sown into you long before you took your first breath. That makes it holy. The world is noisy with opinions, loud with shoulds and musts and never-evers. But your dream doesn't belong in that chaos. Your dream is a seed, and seeds need the dark. They need time and quiet and the rich soil of solitude. That's how they grow. That's how they bloom. Speak too soon, and you may find yourself trying to defend something not yet ready to stand. Reveal too early, and you might offer your dream to someone who doesn't know how to hold it. And baby, not everybody's hands are clean. So you keep your sacred dreams close. You wrap them in prayer, in poetry, in patience. Let them be your midnight companion, your sunrise secret. Let them dance in your eyes when you laugh, but keep them folded in your heart when the room is not safe. Because this world will praise your fire until it burns them. Then they'll call you too much, too wild, too bold. So you learn to keep your matchbox hidden. You learn that you don't owe anyone the map to your fire. A woman must learn the art of sacred withholding, of blooming without display, of rising without applause. There is magic in mystery. There is power in privacy. You are allowed to build in silence. You are allowed to dream in color while speaking in grayscale. Let your life surprise them, not your words. So if you find yourself holding a dream so beautiful, so precious, so raw, it makes your chest ache just to think about it, then that's the one. That's the dream you don't share. Not yet. That's the one you protect with your whole being. Because something that's sacred doesn't just belong to your present, it belongs to your becoming. There are waters inside a woman that run deep, so deep that sunlight cannot always reach them. And no one, not even the most curious soul, should be handed the map to those depths unless they've earned it with reverence. A woman's heart is not a museum. It is not built for visitors to stroll through, pointing at what they do not understand. It is a temple, and sacred things are not meant to be touched without prayer. You see, the world has taught women to explain, to comfort, to spill the contents of their soul like water in cracked hands. But you must know better. You must know that your emotions are not small things to be poured into thirsty mouths. They are oceans, powerful, ever-moving, and often misunderstood. You do not owe access to your tides. You do not owe translation for your waves. Let no one mistake your silence for absence. A woman who guards her emotions is not cold. She is careful. She is not empty. She is full of discernment. For not everyone who asks deserves to receive. Not everyone who listens knows how to hold what they hear. And not everyone who sees your tears will honor the river that made them. There is beauty in being unspoken. There is strength in keeping your softness protected beneath your skin like velvet behind iron doors. Not to harden yourself, no, never that, but to respect the majesty of your own depths. When a woman cries, the earth listens. When she breaks, something ancient shifts. That kind of power must not be shared recklessly. The world will often tell you to be open, to be vulnerable, to let them in. But baby, who are they? Who has shown you they can swim in your storm and not drown? Who has proven that they won't take your truths and twist them into weapons? There are people who will use your feelings as mirrors to fix themselves. There are those who will mistake your openness for permission to harm. So, a woman must know when to speak and when to let silence be her answer. She must know that every emotion she holds, joy, grief, rage, tenderness, is a jewel, and not every jewel belongs in the window. Some must stay in the vault, not because they are hidden, but because they are priceless. Your smile does not mean you are shallow. Your stillness does not mean you are numb. You can feel everything and show nothing. That is not deception. That is wisdom. A woman must learn that she does not have to perform her pain. She does not have to bleed in front of an audience to be real. Her emotional truth is not a stage play, and she is not an actress begging for applause. The quiet cry, the buried ache, the joy she keeps for herself, these are not signs of repression. They are the marks of someone who understands the value of inner life, who knows that even the sun keeps its fire tucked away, who understands that mystery is not emptiness, it is power preserved. Some people will come into your life wanting to sip your emotions like wine. They will ask you to bleed honesty, to hand them your hurt, to unwrap your joy so they can taste it. But you must pause. You must ask yourself, do they bring salt for your tears or just thirst? Do they come with gentleness or curiosity dressed in greed? A woman who knows her worth learns to protect her depths. She learns to cry in the shower, to pray in the dark, to smile when her heart is heavy, not because she wants to hide, but because she chooses to rise. She holds her feelings like sacred scripture, choosing carefully who may read her verses, not out of fear, not out of shame, but out of deep respect for the masterpiece that she is. And if one day she decides to let someone see her pain, her hope, her whole storm, it is not weakness, it is trust. And trust is not given, it is earned. Just as the ocean does not reveal her trenches to every boat, A woman does not show her soul to every voice that asks. She listens first, she watches, she waits. And in the waiting, she remembers her emotional depth is not a burden, it is her power. Not everyone is worthy of the dive. Healing is not a performance. It is not a light show or a parade to be scheduled on someone else's time. Healing is quiet work, sacred work, work that happens beneath the skin, beneath the smile, beneath the I'm fine that the world has taught a woman to wear like armor. And because healing is sacred, it must often be hidden. A woman heals in pieces, not in order, not for display. She stitches herself in moments, between the early morning stillness and the late night ache. She does it not for applause, not for understanding, but because life demands it. Because if she doesn't mend herself, no one will. Some things are not meant to be seen while they're still tender. A wound does not need spectators while it is closing. It needs stillness. It needs clean hands. It needs protection. When a woman is healing, she must learn to shield her softness from those who would pry or pity or probe. Not everyone who asks how you're doing deserves the truth. There is strength in letting people think you're already whole while you're still learning how to hold yourself. There is power in smiling without explaining the nights you spent falling apart. The world is eager for your glow up, but uninterested in your shadow work. They want your testimony, but not your tears, so keep that sacred. Healing is not always pretty. Sometimes it's rage, sometimes it's silence, sometimes it's curling into a question you don't yet have the answer to. It's rewriting stories they convinced you were true. It's choosing not to beg, not to chase, not to prove that your pain is real. It's learning how to leave things broken without making yourself small. Let them think you just moved on. Let them think you were never cracked. That's not dishonesty, that's discretion, because healing is not for them, it's for you. It's for the little girl inside who stopped trusting her voice. It's for the woman you are still becoming, the one who doesn't need to narrate her rise to prove she's rising. Some healing doesn't look like healing. It looks like walking away without a final word, like blocking a number and not explaining why, like laughing louder than they expected you to. That kind of healing, the kind that's real, rarely needs to announce itself. The tree doesn't tell the forest when it's growing new roots. It just grows. When you are healing, be selfish with your solitude. Guard your peace like a lioness guards her cubs. Do not let hands that broke you try to help you. Do not let questions that sound like concern pull you back into the fire you fought to crawl out of. You do not owe anyone the story of how you survived. Survival is enough. People will try to measure your healing by how quickly you move on, by how little you speak of the wound. But healing is not forgetting. It's remembering without unraveling. It's walking past the place where you bled and feeling your own strength instead of the sting. It's hearing your name and not flinching. It's loving yourself so fiercely that the past can no longer rewrite your worth. A woman's healing does not need witnesses. Let your light return in silence. Let your spirit mend without commentary. It is enough to feel whole in your bones, even if no one else notices. It is enough to wake up with less weight on your chest, even if the world is too distracted to see that you are lighter. You don't have to post your process. You don't have to turn your pain into poetry. You don't have to make art from your ache just to validate it. Your healing is not content. It's not curriculum. It's not something to package for consumption. It is yours. Yours to carry, yours to cradle, yours to keep. So wrap your healing in silence. Let it swell like sunrise behind the hills. Let it stretch slowly without audience or instruction. Let it be messy and magnificent, painful and private. You do not need to prove that you're healing. You only need to keep breathing, keep choosing yourself, keep going. And in time, without announcement, without performance, you'll wake up and realize you made it. You grew back in the dark, and no one even knew how deep your roots ran. There is a knowing that lives inside a woman. It was born with her, carried in her bones, in her belly, in the way her skin tightens when something isn't right, in the pause behind her smile when the room goes silent. This knowing doesn't shout, it hums. A low, deep hum like a drum beneath the earth, and that baby is intuition. It is her birthright, her inner compass, her warning bell, and her blessing. But just because she knows doesn't mean she must speak. Just because she senses doesn't mean she must share. Let them think she's naive. Let them think she missed it. Let them believe they fooled her. It costs her nothing to let the blind dance in their own fog. She sees what they do not. That's more than enough. A wise woman knows her silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Her intuition is not for display, it is for direction. You don't teach your enemy your escape route. You don't hand your truth to those who would use it to cage you. You move with quiet purpose. You feel everything, but you show only what serves you. Let them call it mystery. Let them name it luck. What they don't understand is that a woman's gut never lies. It speaks in glances, in stillness, in the unexplainable peace she feels when she walks away from what everyone else runs toward. It whispers to her in dreams, in the shift of the wind, in the tightness of her chest when something isn't right. And the real power is in keeping that knowing veiled. You see, when a woman reveals that she knows, the world gets nervous. They call her dramatic, overthinking, too sensitive, too much. They laugh at her gift until the truth arrives, and by then she's already gone, already onto the next mountain, already untouched. Her power isn't just in her knowing, it's in what she does with that knowledge. Don't explain how you knew he was lying. Don't lay out the proof. Don't try to convince anyone that the feeling in your bones was worth believing. Just leave. Just pivot. Just rise. People don't need to understand your intuition for it to be real. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you. The moment you start justifying your spirit, you begin to betray it. A woman must learn to sit in rooms filled with noise and keep her voice calm, not because she's unsure, but because she is certain. There is a confidence that doesn't require correction. There is a power in being the only one who knows what time it really is. And baby, if you really know, you won't need to say a word. You do not always owe the world your reasons. You do not need to explain your shift, your silence, your sudden distance. Let them wonder, let them guess. That's how you stay free. Intuition is a secret language between you and the divine. The moment you start translating it for people who are never meant to understand, you dilute its strength. There are times when your spirit will scream no, even when the room is full of yes. Listen to that scream, honor it, but do not argue with those who cannot hear it. Let them walk their path while you take yours. You are not responsible for their blindness. You are only responsible for your own sight. When your intuition speaks, it may not always make sense, not at first, but with time, clarity will come. The moment you feel it, trust it. Move accordingly, but quietly. Move like a storm that rolls in beneath the stars, like a tide no one expected. You don't owe the world a forecast. You just owe yourself the grace of following your truth. And sometimes the greatest act of power is letting them think they have the upper hand while you hold the map. Sometimes it's in walking away before the harm comes. Sometimes it's in staying silent while everyone else talks. Because deep down, you already know. And that knowing, that's your freedom. Not every battle must be fought. Not every lie must be corrected. Not every betrayal deserves your reaction. When your intuition speaks, it is enough that you heard it. Trust that. Trust the hush. Trust the pull in your chest. Trust the sudden chill, the goosebumps that come with no warning. That's your gift reminding you you are never truly unarmed A woman who keeps her intuition cloaked walks with the power of the unseen. She watches, she feels, she moves, and they never see her coming, not until it's too late. Money is not just paper, not just numbers. For a woman, it is oxygen, it is breath. It is the difference between silence and voice, between staying and leaving, between surviving and thriving. Financial independence is not about luxury. It is about liberty. It is about never having to ask permission to live. A woman must keep a part of herself untouched, untethered, and her money, her means, her resources must be part of that sanctuary, not because she is greedy, but because she is wise, because she has seen what happens when a woman gives everything and is left with nothing but her tears and her name. She learns early. Dependence is dangerous. It can come dressed in love, wrapped in protection, painted with promises. But when the lights go out and the voices grow cold and the doors begin to close, what saves her is what she saved. Not her words, not her beauty, but her means, her ability to stand up, pay her way, and walk out if she must. Do not confuse sharing with surrender. You can love deeply and still keep something for yourself. You can build together and still have your own. A woman does not owe access to her everything just because affection enters the room. Her purse is not proof of her devotion. Her independence is not a threat. It is her birthright. There will be those who ask, "Why do you need your own?" And she must smile gently and say, "Because I was not born to be caged." Because power shifts when money moves. And a woman who cannot provide for herself is one decision away from danger. That is not paranoia, it is protection. Money buys choices, it buys freedom, it buys time to think, to breathe, to leave what no longer honors her. A woman with her own money speaks differently, walks differently. She's not loud, she doesn't have to be. Her confidence comes from knowing she can stay or go, build or rebuild, and not lose herself in the doing. A woman must have her secret stash, her safety net, her quiet investment, not in fear, but in wisdom. Because love does not always last, people do not always stay, and life does not always ask before it changes. Let no one convince her that keeping something for herself is betrayal. No, baby, that is balance. It is not selfish to want security. It is not shameful to say, "This is mine." A woman who cannot buy her own food, pay her own rent, book her own ticket, is a woman who may one day have to choose survival over dignity. And that choice will break her. So she works, she earns, she learns, she multiplies. She doesn't wait to be rescued. She becomes her own safety, her own bank, her own backup plan. And if she shares what she has, it is because she wants to, not because she must. She must never place her survival in someone else's hands. Hands that may grow tired, hands that may turn cold, hands that once held her and now push her away. No, her life must never hang on the kindness of anyone else's wallet, not when she has two hands and a mind full of gold. There is beauty in a woman who can say, "I love you, but I don't need you to live." There is power in paying for her own peace. There is freedom in not having to explain every penny, not because she hides, no, but because she owns, because she has built a world where she is not trapped. They will say she is too strong, that she doesn't trust. But trust is not the issue. Control is. And a woman who owns herself fully and financially is a woman no one can hold hostage. Not with sweet words, not with silence, not with promises of shelter or threats of absence. So she keeps something for herself. She builds, she plans, she prepares, not out of fear, but out of deep ancestral knowing. The kind of knowing passed down in hushed kitchen whispers from women who couldn't leave when they wanted to, from women who stayed too long, from women who gave too much. She listens to them, and she honors them by never placing her worth in someone else's pocket. She does not apologize for having her own. She does not shrink to soothe egos. She does not spend to be loved. She preserves her financial independence like a sacred flame because she knows if all else is taken from her, that flame will guide her home. There is a power inside a woman that does not roar. It does not need to. It is not always loud, but it is constant, steady, ancient. It walks with her even when she is silent, even when she is soft. Her power does not ask for attention. It commands it without speaking. A woman does not need to show her full fire to prove she burns. Her light reaches farther when she holds it close. Not every blaze is meant to blind. Some are meant to warm, to guide, to protect what cannot yet be seen. And so she learns the wisdom of restraint. There is danger in revealing too much too soon. The world does not always honor power. It fears it, tries to tame it. And so a wise woman veils her full strength the way the moon veils her face, gently, deliberately, beautifully. She does not dim. She decides. She decides who gets to see her in full. Her quiet is not emptiness. It is control. Her smile is not submission. It is choice. Do not mistake her stillness for stagnation. The ocean, too, is silent before the storm. There is a strength in a woman who knows when to hold back, when to listen, when to rise without warning. She has learned through fire and frost that not everyone is ready for all of her, that some hands drop what they cannot hold, that some eyes flinch at what they cannot define. So she wraps her greatness in patience, in poise, in mystery, not to hide it, but to protect it. Let them underestimate, let them assume that is her shield and her secret. They do not see her coming because she is not always on display. She walks behind her own brilliance, letting it stretch far enough to touch the future without needing to announce its arrival. That is the grace of a woman who owns herself. There is no need to flex when you are rooted, no need to shout when your name already echoes. Her power is not for performance, it is for purpose. It is the way she carries grief without being swallowed. The way she rebuilds with hands that once trembled, the way she loves without losing herself. Some will ask her to shrink, to soften, to be more convenient, more digestible. But she has learned that shrinking to be liked is betrayal, that watering herself down only leaves her thirsty. So she stands tall, even when quiet, even when veiled, because power does not always arrive with a trumpet. Sometimes it walks in silence, wrapped in silk. There is strategy in subtlety. There is fire beneath elegance. A woman who understands her power does not give it away freely. She does not explain it to those who haven't earned the right to witness it. She lets them see just enough to wonder, just enough to keep guessing. Because if they saw it all, they'd try to claim it, and it is not theirs. They will call her mysterious, complicated, elusive. That's fine, that's expected. But what they fail to see is that her mystery is not a mask, it is her boundary. Her complexity is not confusion, it is capacity. Her elusiveness is not avoidance, it is protection from a world that too often devours what it does not understand. So she veils her full power the way the sun veils its flame behind the clouds. Not to disappear, but to nourish from the background, not to abandon, but to observe. She knows that her moment will come. It always does. And when it does, she will rise, not with noise, but with certainty, not with permission, but with presence. She does not show her whole hand because she is always playing the long game. Her power is layered. It is not just in her words, but in her silence. Not just in her actions, but in her restraint. She is the chessboard and the queen, the game and the victory, and no one sees her full strategy until she declares checkmate. Let the world lean in, curious and confused. Let them wonder how she moves, how she shines, how she knows. She owes no explanation. She is not here to make anyone comfortable with her radiance. She is here to build, to heal, to walk in her truth, and when necessary, to unleash what she has always held back. Because when she does, when the veil lifts, there will be no mistaking who she is. And they will remember that she was always powerful, even when wrapped in silence, even when cloaked in grace. A woman is not made of just flesh and bone. She is made of boundaries, of wisdom, of secrets carried like gold beneath her skin. The world has told her to open, to offer, to unfold for everyone's comfort. But now she knows better. She knows that sacred things are not meant to be shared with unready hands. So she protects her dreams like seeds waiting for the right soil. She guards her emotions like the tides, knowing their strength, their depth, and their silence. She heals in private, not to hide, but to preserve the sacred art of becoming whole. She listens to her intuition and keeps it wrapped in reverence, knowing that just because she senses doesn't mean she must speak. She earns, saves, and moves with financial power, not to boast, but to stay free. And her full strength, that she veils, not out of fear, but out of mastery. For the world will test her, pull at her, try to unravel what it doesn't understand. But she will not be undone. She will not be rushed, revealed, or reduced, because she has learned the sacred art of keeping what is hers. She is not just surviving, she is sculpting herself, piece by powerful piece, into a woman who is whole, wise, and untouchable by anything that doesn't honor her soul. And that, my dear, is not just power. That is freedom. That is grace. That is woman.